Welcome to the Justice Journal podcast. I'm Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert. I hope you enjoy this podcast series where we discuss important public safety issues and provide insight into who we are as an office and what we do both in the courtroom and in the community to provide the highest level of public safety through prosecution, prevention, and innovation.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast episode. Today we're going to continue our discussion on youth vaping. We thought it was really important to hear from our youth directly, so I'm happy to be joined by 3 local high school students. Can you all please introduce yourselves and let us know what grade you're currently in, just your first names, please.
Hi, my name's Haley and I'm in 9th grade.
Hi, my name's Milton and I'm in 10th grade.
Hi, my name is Cassidy and I'm in 12th grade.
Thank you guys for being here. So I'm going to just start with, what have you guys personally experienced or seen in terms of vaping at school, outside school, among your friends or peers, either people you know or people you don't know? Can one of you kind of just talk about, what you're seeing? I'm going to start.
So for me, e-cigarette use at my school has developed into this thing where if you do it, you are seen as more cool and more popular, and it kind of fuels this vicious cycle of addiction. And e-cigarette use honestly has become more important in the school environment than education itself. And what I've been seeing is that it affects all walks of life, and not only just per se low-income students or higher-income students. It affects everyone equally, and it's kind of a detrimental thing to see all my peers go through.
When you say it's more important, do you mean that they're focusing more on vaping than what's happening in the classroom?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah, and it's also more prominent than learning generally in the classroom.
Well, what I've seen is I honestly don't see a lot of kids vaping in like bathrooms like I used to see in middle school or high school. I honestly felt like it kind of went down when it came to high school, because in middle school I saw it a lot. But and
so you're in 9th grade, so that was not that long ago.
Yeah,
so you saw it a lot in middle school.
Yeah, middle school kids like had vapes and stuff. But I've probably seen, since I've been in high school, I've probably seen 2 or 3 vapes.
But vaping is easy to hide.
It really is.
Okay, so do you think you're just not seeing it, or it's just not? You don't think it's happening as much? Because
when I saw it, it was like by accident. Like she was taking out her books from her backpack. It fell out. She said, "Hey, can you like pass?" I'm like, "Okay." I thought it was like a USB cord, like you plug.
Right. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and then I looked at it. I was like, "Oh." I just handed it back over. I also see a lot on my way to school because I ride my bike.
Okay.
So I go the back way through the neighborhood to the front of the school, or like the back of the school area. So that's where you see a lot of it at. There's also a city college kind of like near.
Yes.
So that's where you see it. But they're more adults, but it's still like very bad.
Right.
And when you see like the commercials, it looks like the flavors and stuff. It looks like it's for kids, like Fruit Loops, Hulk's Tears and stuff.
Yeah, we talked about that in our first one. Do you have anything to add, Cassidy?
Me personally, I feel like they don't do it more on campus. They'll go we have like a gas station or a Wingstop, all that down the street. They'll more so leave at lunch or like after school and go down there. But I don't usually see vaping as often as like marijuana. But that might just be my school personally. But yeah, there's definitely.
Are you hearing students talking about vaping? Or is that not really a hot topic on campus?
I feel like there's vaping being talked about by some, but there's also like marijuana being talked about, and like now that there's like these marijuana pins that you can hide, like vaping. It's like a vape, but it's marijuana instead of
the drip.
Instead of.
So when we talk about vaping, and I'm learning about this myself, that also includes nicotine, but then we also know that they're also vaping THC. Is that what you're talking about as you're hearing more about that? But they're still using the e-cig device doing that.
I've heard that there's 2 devices. There's like one, the vaping one that looks like a USB thing, well, at least to me, that you plug into a computer. But there's also one that looks like an actual pen.
Yeah, I saw that and actually writes
silver.
too.
Yeah. It's like kind of silver, and it's like It's about, I want to say, like, this.
Yeah.
This size.
Uh-huh.
And they can easily, like, put, like, any, like, marijuana product or whatever in it. Depends on how small. If you can grind it up, you can put it in there and just smoke it.
Oh, so it's not a liquid substance?
It can be.
Okay.
But,
Or it
like,
can be
or it could be, like, you know, you can grind it.
marijuana.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that I did not know.
There's scent, like they are like the vape pens that they have a scent,
Yeah.
but they're not like there's like in the vape there's a strawberry scent. It just doesn't smell. You can smell like that's not.
Even the ones that
Regular-
are flavored, that that doesn't smell?
They don't usually.
You can
have,
feel the hotness of it.
You can feel.
If you're like how do I put this? If you're like next to someone and they're doing it next to you, I could feel the hotness of it. But I
Wow,
can see
interesting.
sometimes see like the smoke or whatever.
Yeah.
But like a lot of kids just like this in their hoodie,
Uh-huh.
and then
Okay.
it's just like
So talking a little about what you're saying, Haley, is why do you think vaping is so popular? I mean, you talked a little bit about the Fruit Loops and all the flavors and things, but Milton, you want to chime in on why do you guys think it's so popular among your peers?
when I first saw a commercial for vaping, it went a little like this.
On TV, you saw?
On TV. I'm watching TV, my Grey's Anatomy, and I'm on the commercial, right? I usually mute it and then be on my phone. So I'm actually watching commercial, and it was basically like, well, cigarettes, it cause cancer and stuff, and my family tried to stop me in the smell and the smoke and stuff, and this, I can do it in public. There's different flavors. They have, like, rainbow. They have, like, all different kinds of, like, unicorn, Fruity Pebbles, like, cereal flavors that, like, I got Fruity Pebbles in my kitchen. So it's kind of like, oh, like, is this for kids? Because these are kid things, like, the unicorn. Like, when you think of unicorn, you think of, like, a kid, like, little fairy tale or whatever.
Yeah. So you think that is a draw? for
Yeah,
them?
I honestly, I didn't even know that vape pens had nicotine in them. Because they never said anything about nicotine.
Isn't that interesting?
And I was like, oh, so you're just, like, smoking something that tastes good? Like, who wouldn't want to buy that?
Right, because the ads don't say that.
Yeah, and then
right?
they had to teach you about that in class now. And they're like, contain nicotine. I'm like, oh. And then the commercials come out about why we shouldn't vape. And I'm like, did not know.
Milton?
In my opinion, I think that there are many different factors that contribute to why vaping is so popular among teens, and I don't think it can be narrowed down into a single one. But on that note, I think that one of the main factors is the predatory marketing that the e-cigarette industry has gone through, and they've repeated many things that traditional tobacco companies have done in the past in the 20th century, and I feel like we're making a mistake in that aspect to let them go with that predatory marketing with their vibrant colors used to attract youth and these false claims that they're safer than cigarettes. In addition to that, I feel like the design and the similarity to technology that e-cigarettes bring is really enticing to youth. As my generation, we were very enticed to technology, computers, laptops, iPhones, all those kind of things. And I feel like whenever someone sees something that's similar to that technology, they automatically assume it's safe, it's good, and they'll be benefited from it. And I also think that flavored products are a big draw as they help just entice youth into e-cigarettes, vaping, and also it acts as like a mask for the harsh reality that tobacco presents.
Right, what they're actually as, and so good point about the technology part of it. So do you think that's what also makes it more cool? And just like the newest smartphone, people want it because it's the newest thing out there and it's tech and all those things.
And they see people they look up to doing it. I feel like that
They think it's
is also-
cool?
they think it's cool. Like, oh, she does it, he does it. Why shouldn't I do it? So they want to fit into that certain crowd, I feel like.
So you're a senior,
So I see.
Cassidy. So even the seniors, do they still fall into that
feel like-
myth and the pressure and all? Did they still
I
do that
feel
at
like-
your age? It's the senior age?
I feel like they don't fall into the thing, but they kind of sort of put like people coming into high school into the mist of vaping and marijuana and all that, which is not good. But yeah.
Do you think, I mean, it's in the news every day, and the stories are horrific, and they are people in the ICU, people who have died. and they're all young for the most part. Do you think that's getting through to your peers? Is that getting through? Is it scaring them? Is it making them talk? Is it do you have an impression on whether the what they're hearing and seeing in the media is helping?
I would say some, because we were in health class. This is kind of ironic too. We're in health class learning about, like, you know, our mental, emotional,
Right.
and this guy's out here whispering, do you have, like, you know, the charger? I need to charge my vape, you know. And then someone's like, dude, that can kill you. Like, people
And
are
you're
like,
learning
"God."
about it at the same time?
Yeah, it's like you didn't know. He was like, yeah, I know, but, you know, it's just, like, you know, so addicting. He's a junior in health class too. It's a freshman class though. So I was like, that, like, it's really gonna kill you. He was like, it's not killing people. Yes, it is killing people. Like, hospitalized. If you don't get to a hospital fast enough, you could die.
So it didn't get through to him, clearly. So, Milton?
I believe that the news coverage that has been on vaping has been beneficial as a whole, but I don't think it's been as beneficial as we need currently in our, like, generation and in our society. Because I feel like that youth, they're able to hear this, but they're not really able to comprehend this, and especially those people who already have developed a chemical dependency on vaping. I feel like the news coverage and the campaigns that we've seen haven't been enough, and they haven't had enough sway to really push them to the point where they really realize that they need to stop.
So they're hearing it, but it's not persuasive enough, or is not, I don't know, scare is the right word, enough for them to stop. But they're hearing it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cassidy?
I also feel that when you see it on the news, they don't focus it on all vapes. They say, okay, this one vape killed this student. So you go to school and they're like, I don't have that brand, so that's not going to kill me. But yes, it is. It's the same thing.
And they don't know exactly what it is yet, so why risk it, right? Because they don't know exactly what's causing deaths and serious injury. Haley and Cassidy, I know you, or I understand you both have been involved in underage marijuana prevention. And Milton, you're a youth advocate on different topics. Do you think there needs to be more of a focused effort among youth, your peers, in the same way you did for the marijuana campaign on vaping? You think we're at that point where, and I don't know if that is already happening, but what do you think about what you guys did for marijuana and doing something similar to vaping?
I feel like we should do something similar, because we honestly didn't think that vaping was bad until it started killing people. Like, people were like, oh, now it's bad for you. No, it's always been bad for you. Like, you're slowly building up, and then until one day you just pass out, or worse, like, someone can't get to you and you just start seizing up. So I feel like they do talk about it a lot at school, and we do have it on the morning announcements, because it's like a video, and then, like, you know, stop vaping or whatever.
But those are adults.
Some of them.
Okay, so
We have our news report is like it's kids
students
from school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's students. The adults, when they hear you talking about it in class, they just tell you to, like, stop talking about it, or we'll send you to the office. When you're not
encouraging, you're just
you're
talking
not.
about
You're
the
just
issue.
telling us to stop talking about a subject, when you really should be like, you're not even listening to the full conversation. You just hear about vaping. We could be talking about, like, do you hear about that person? Like, that's bad for them or whatever.
Right.
But I feel like it's teachers too. If you hear students talking about it, you should really say something like, it's not safe. It's like,
Speak up and
yeah,
say something.
speak.
Yeah. What do you think, Milton?
I feel like vaping has become a very clear problem, and I feel like that we need to address this in some sort of manner. So I believe that a student-led campaign would actually be very beneficial, but I feel like you'd have to go about it in a certain way that would also utilize people who were former vapors as well, because most of the time the people who are vaping, they've built up this chemical dependency, and that also sways them mentally to believe that students, their own peers, who also advocate for this, are sort of brainwashed by adults as well, and by, like, health officials. And I feel like it'd be more beneficial to hear from someone who formerly vaped and who could come out and show their regret on this.
And that's a good point. I also agree with that, because I think some students probably will not be persuaded to try, but others are, and so they should be the ones to say why they started it and what happened. So that's a good point. What about you, Cassidy? What do you
I
think?
feel that we should go around it just like how me and Haley did a marijuana prevention video. There should be a vape prevention video because lately it seems like vaping has been killing kids more than marijuana has.
What I'm hearing is youth leadership, youth-driven messaging, and talking to your own peers about it. You think adults are not very effective when we're out there talking about it? What do you think students and kids are thinking when...
Well, in my experience, when I hear adults like preaching about something that we need to stop doing, kind of sounds like my parents nagging me to wash the dishes. Like,
do you think that we're telling you the truth and that we're being honest, or that we just don't like you doing that kind of thing?
I think you guys also have like valid points. Like, we need to stop, underage, like, you don't need to smoke weed at 12. You don't need a vape at 12. You don't need a vape at all, actually. But I feel like when you hear it from someone your same age, I'm more likely to listen. It's like when your mom tells you that school's very important, you need to get your math grade up, but you don't honestly start listening until, like, your best friend's mom starts talking.
No, interesting. What do you think, Milton?
I believe that the youth population is generally divided on that kind of issue. I feel that part of the population looks towards older figures such as parents, teachers, mentors as people to listen to, and I feel like the other half tends to not listen to them. But I feel like overall the theme is that people understand that what adults are saying are true, whether or not they agree with that or whether or not that they're able to accept that fact. I feel like is the generally disputed idea.
What do you think, Cassidy? Do you think adults have credibility with...
I feel in some ways adults might have credibility, but at the same time, it's just like the adult isn't going to be there when you're vaping anyway. So
Right.
you say, okay, I get it, I'm listening, but you're going to go right back with your friend and go vape. Because you're not with your mom when you're vaping, you're with your friend.
It's interesting because traditional smoking used to be also the newest, coolest thing, when I was younger. And then because of what people know now about all the negative things about it, health impacts, now it's so, for adults anyway, it's looked down upon. And so I wonder at the peer pressure, once vaping is, people really understand that it's not cool and the health dangers. Do you think you guys can put peer pressure on your peers to not vape versus peer pressure to vape? How do you see that working? Because I think, how do we make it uncool, I guess?
Kids don't, seem to listen when you tell them something most of the time. It's it's got to be some action. Like, they actually have to see their stuff getting taken away. Something to that matter. So when I feel like if more kids end up coming out I used to vape. It wasn't good for you. I ended up hospitalized. Serious things. Maybe, I'm saying maybe, because that stuff's really addicting. Mm-hmm. And you're telling yourself, that's them. They probably have something wrong with their immune system. Something to that matter. Mm-hmm. They got to see action.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I think that one of the most important ideas in tobacco control is the idea of a social norms change and to change the social norms behind a certain product such as e-cigarettes. And I believe that many youth are very complacent in this issue where they're not for vapes, but they're also not anti-vape. And I feel like the population of people who are against vapes is very low. And I feel like if we ever want to be able to pursue a social norms change and change the idea of vaping and the stigma that it's cool, I believe that we have to raise the amount of people who are against vaping and lower the amount of people who are just complacent.
And the people who, and have them do something. So for the adults who also want to do something, take action in some way, do you think videos and, like you said, examples of what has happened to kids, even if it's adults who are telling that, is that the most effective way for adults to try to get the message out to you guys versus us just kind of lecturing and that kind of thing? Or what do you think?
You should do something that's would go viral. Start a hashtag.
So a social media
it has to be social media.
But you working with youth, though.
Yes, of course, working with youth. But it has to be something involving social media. Okay. We're always on it.
Because that's all you kind of watch, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to confirm. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about or share that you've seen or that you think on this topic in general?
Well, for me, I think something that's very important for helping youth quit vaping and to help prevent them from starting vaping, is I believe that the government and also the adults should be able to hold the e-cigarette industry accountable, because I believe that they have wronged the general public and especially my generation greatly, similarly to how traditional tobacco companies have done in the past in the 20th century. And I believe that we're making the same mistakes as the past, letting e-cigarette companies just go out and use predatory marketing tactics and all those kind of things and false statements, and also using flavored tobacco to try and target youth and to profit off their suffering.
What do you guys think about that in terms of it's important to get the message out and have the students change their behavior? What do you think about Milton taking it to the next level and actually going after the companies who we talked about were marketing it in a way that's not true?
You really should, because when
do you think students can lead an effort like that?
Of course, yeah. There's more of us than them.
That's very true. Yes.
And one thing you have to like make sure of, if you're like, oh, my kid doesn't vape at all, like I know that for sure. It's like, good. Okay, look, I'm telling you, it's in the teddy bear. I'm telling you, it's in like the headboard taped to the back of it against the wall, or like it's in like the, the baby's first piggy bank. It's in there.
Wow. Well, we're going to close, but I want to go around the table and ask you, we hope that there are a lot of students and their parents and other teens who are listening to this. What message would you want to share with them, or what would you want to say to them about vaping? Anybody?
I would say that I hope they listen to this and see that this isn't good for them, and that this is the youth talking and not adults. So you can see from our personal experience, if they're younger, older, that this is not the right thing to be doing. But of course, we can't change what you want to do. But I hope they listen and they know.
I extremely agree with that. I believe that everyone listening to this should be able to really comprehend what we're saying and understand that we're not just people who are here just to bash on you and to try to destroy what you do, but we're here genuinely to help you and help you in this endeavor. And I would also like to have this to be a call to action for all the other youth, because I believe that the only way we can stop youth vaping is by also coming together to change all the societal norms and to be able to take vaping down.
Especially parents listening to this, you honestly need to listen. If your kid's even 6th grade, you need to be worried. You want to know. You need to be checking in on your kid all the time. Talk to your kid when you pick them up from school. Have dinner with your kid. Don't let them watch TV or go on their phones. You need to talk to your kid, have conversations, ask them. You know, and you start to see different changes is when you talk to your kid, or they start talking about people at school, oh, that's what happened, this is what happened. And that's when you start to get a grasp of where you should be at.
It's excellent. All those points are excellent. So give it a safe environment, because the only way that parents are going to know what's happening is if the kids feel comfortable talking, whether it's them or their friends, or so those are all great points. Well, thank you all so much again. I think your guys' opinions and your guys' voice carries a lot of weight, other than we, the adults, who were so far, removed from what's happening now. Because, in our generation, it was traditional tobacco products, which that had its challenges. But the vaping, what I want people to understand is that the health impacts are very quick. Whereas with traditional products, with smoking, we thought 20, 30 years down the road. Yeah. Well, vaping, we're seeing immediately. And who knows long term. That's the great unknown, and that's even scarier than what we're seeing right now. So, and Milton, to your point, this is your guys' generation. And so what's happening now, if it can be stopped, really can change what happens, when you guys are adults.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, thank you guys so much. Again, we appreciate your guys' insight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find all of the Justice Journal podcasts on our website at sacda.org, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube.